It's the savvy side of 9 to 5. Listen.
It's not a lie if you believe it.
Laugh.
We had a little fun, because it's a very long day, you know.
And learn.
Negotiation. This is what you do in business.
This is the Focus Group with Tim Bennett.
All right, let's go already.
And John Nash.
Pucker up, Buttercup.
With a focus on career, the consumer culture, and marketing from an LGBT point of view. We're all business, except when we're not.
Welcome to the Focus Group. I'm John Nash, and as always, I'm joined by my very good friend and co-host, Tim Bennett.
I'm holding the mic today.
You can find us on YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and Google Play. And if you do find us there and you start watching the show, we ask you to subscribe, like, and rate us. The liking and the rating part's kind of important because apparently that makes us bubble up in the metrics. And if it's on iTunes, eventually one of the 2.5 editors on the the iTunes side is going to say, this is a featured podcast, which we would like a great deal. On social media, we have a presence on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and that's all Focus Group Radio, to keep it simple. And we do have a phone number as well. If you have a comment for us or a question that we might use on air, call 914-362-8747, or to remember it in a more easy fashion, 914-FOCUS-GR. And if we use your question or comment, you'll get a pair of our infamous and famous Focus Group socks.
Ubiquitous, would ubiquitous be the word?
Ubiquitous means they're everywhere.
Well, they are.
Are they really?
Speaking, so you led right into our guest is today.
Yeah, well, okay, let's get this.
So we've got, so John mentioned the socks, and we actually, so our listeners had recommended a new color for us, which in our second segment we're going to unveil with Brian Roman from AdMark360. Will be here to join us. He's done all of our promotional goods over the last 8 years of our show. And he has a couple of surprises for us. So we're going to talk to him about the promotional market as well as unveil our new socks and the new color.
And the new brand spanking new color. Because that's the thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes we go through color shifts.
Happy Halloween, John.
All right. Okay, so today is October 29th, which means it's the end of National Coming Out Month.
Oh, okay.
That's usually an October thing. And, of course, it's the kickoff for Halloween, which I used to enjoy when I was younger, and now I find it to be a fun holiday to watch from afar. That's the way I'll put it.
Do you have people that trick or treat in Manhattan at the apartments?
Well, actually, that's a good question. The block down from us, they shut the whole block down from between two avenues, and they do like a block party. And there's a lot of brownstones on the block, and they do it in Brooklyn too, a lot of places. So they have cobwebs up, and all the families put out candy for the kids, and it's like a party. I think it's a lot more fun. And in our building, if you sign up for the trick-or-treat list, then the parents know which apartments to go to.
Did you sign up?
No.
As much as you like kids, you didn't sign up.
That maybe I'll do that this year. But
Listen, I think you should. You never know coming to the door.
Trick-or-treat.
Hi, Dad.
Ding dong.
I had to
What's
go.
your costume, Hustler?
I had to go shopping for Halloween candy. So I told you this. Listeners follow our show, that I made the mistake when I first moved to Mayberry, is what I call it in
You're the
Pennsylvania,
Gigantor.
With the big candy bars. When I was flush with bonus money from Subaru.
Once a kid knows you're giving out the bigger candy, you're kind
So you're stuck.
marked,
And each
right?
year, so after 10, as it's been 15 years, now it's like, oh, you're the house with the big candy bars. So Brian, my neighbor, also does the same thing. So he and I went shopping for the candy this year. And the candy has gotten progressively more expensive.
Yeah.
So a box of Snickers now is $30 or more for
the large
a box
bars.
of 24, 28, whatever it is. So we walk into Sam's Club, and I said, I'm going to go with the little ones this year. And he says, I'll egg your house. So he said, I'm still buying the big ones. So I was forced to buy the big candy bars. And so, but I did buy some fruit snacks and a little different things, and not all candy, but we'll see. But we go through quite a
Halloween's
bit.
a
It's
fun
well over
time.
$100 worth of candy bars.
And you'll go through it all.
Yeah.
Halloween's a fun time. It usually is. I remember one year we had someone on from Rick's. Was it Ricky's?
The costume.
And we talked about what was the most popular costume that year. And trending this year, I think it wasn't something from
Was it
Harry
Trump and
Potter.
Hillary?
Trump and Hillary might be big ones. I've seen a lot of the
With the
rubber masks
masks,
around.
yeah.
Yeah.
You probably don't want to go as a clown. Isn't there a
You
clown
might
problem?
get killed if you're a clown, because isn't there this clown thing going on?
Well, they even said Ronald McDonald has had to tone it down. So Ronald McDonald, they're not doing any appearances.
For the
Do you know he
McDonald's.
goes to work in full makeup? The clown goes in as a clown to the headquarters office in Illinois. He goes in to work dressed as Ronald McDonald. What a gig that is.
Yeah, I just, the minute you said that, I see him in a meeting, sitting back with a bull, like one of those horns, and someone makes it, to your point, or he has the flower that squirts, and he does the president, like, oh, it's the clown, it's okay. Can we fire him? No, he's kind of our mascot. We got to keep him on.
You can go as what were the Hamburglar and
There's Hamburglar. There was, who was the guy that looked like,
there's one that like milkshakes. I
yeah,
forget
what was his name?
I don't remember. I can't remember now. I haven't been to McDonald's in so long. Grimace, that's what it was. Thanks
And
for our top-notch production staff.
we have,
Garrett and
that was
John.
Garrett that chimed in, and we have John on video. Garrett does our audio.
Grimace, that's what it
Yeah,
was.
remember that?
Yeah.
I remember when you used to be able to go, they had those characters when they introduced the Playland area to McDonald's. It was a little after our time.
Yeah.
High school, it was for high school for us, but they never let us go in the Playland.
I drove out to Marietta, Ohio, to my college homecoming. It's the only time I eat fast food on the road because
That's all you can have.
between Philadelphia and Marietta, Ohio, there's a couple of truck stops and lots of woods going through Maryland and West Virginia. So I stopped at a McDonald's and made the mistake of ordering a double quarter pounder with cheese. I thought it was a double cheeseburger.
Yeah, I was just going to say, your order in high school was always a double
Or
cheeseburger.
two cheeseburgers, French
small
fries, and an orange
and,
drink
and an orange drink.
with extra
yeah.
onion. So I pull up to first she says it's $9 and whatever. I said, $9?
Yeah.
All right.
I would have just gotten a Happy Meal.
Well,
You should have done Happy Meal.
Well, I was confused because I couldn't read the stupid board. You know, there's all boards and value meals. So I go,
How may I help you?
right. So I go zipping around, and Jay was with me at one point. She wanted to go to Long John Silver, but we didn't do that because we couldn't get through.
Oh, I would
Fish in
love
a
to go to a
box.
Long John Silver's. I haven't been to a
She
Long
liked the
John
crunchy
Silver's
things.
in like
Yeah.
forever, and they don't even have them on the Eastern Seaboard.
Not a lot
anymore,
of times,
huh?
no. So we went into. So I get to the drive-through, and the woman says, "You're going to have to pull up for that order. You're going to have to go park in a holding bin for the double quarter pounder." I thought, what the heck did I order? So this thing came. It was I felt sick the whole day.
How big was it?
Oh my gosh, it was too huge. So it was a half a pound of meat because it's a double quarter pounder, and on this bun with the whole deal. And I thought, oh my gosh, and I really felt horrible eating it. It tasted good, but I thought afterwards I'm going to pay, and I did. I started falling asleep on the road. I'm trying to put the windows down so I'm not, Anyway, that's my only time I get fast food anymore.
I suppose that's better than the time we were doing our cross-country road trip in the VW Beetle, and we were in Arizona after seeing the petrified...
Or was it New Mexico?
Maybe it was New Mexico. It was after seeing the petrified forest. We pull up to the thing, and you took one look. I went up. I said, I want a salad. And everybody in the restaurant looked at me. I didn't realize it at the time. Tim said everybody looked at me like I was crazy.
Well, you were.
And they take this plastic thing on. They barely go, like they blow the dust off the salad. What kind of dressing you want?
Well, that's when you were all hell bent on you were going to, squeeze into a Speedo at the Luxor sort of thing. And, when you ordered that salad, everybody was looking at you. I mean, they had to go look for them in the back.
They had to go look for
It was
them.
on the menu, but it wasn't really an item that got.
It was
a lot of
it was a
throughput.
disappointing salad as well. I should have gone with just when we were in high school together. You always were double. You did two cheeseburgers.
Two cheeseburgers
I did
and
two
an orange
regular
drink.
burgers.
Well, you didn't do the cheeseburger? Why
I
not?
always did regular, and I did a large fry, but you did a regular fry. You didn't do large.
Why
fry.
wouldn't you do a cheeseburger?
I didn't. I just liked the regular ones.
Oh, okay.
And then I would do a Coke or a root beer, but you always had the orange drink.
Yeah. Yeah, I never liked. I was always I've stopped drinking soda. I don't drink soda anymore.
I haven't had soda in a long time, and it's not like I dislike it, but the carbonation kind of gets to me after a while.
Well, I was drinking probably 6 Diet Cokes a day. At
Oh
one
my
time.
God, really?
Well, toward the end of my time at Subaru, you'd have one after my coffee, then I'd have lunch, then I'd have one at 2 or 3, then you'd have one on the way home, you have one at dinner, you have a couple at night. And
I bet you had a soda caddy in the refrigerator.
I had
Do you
I
have
had
a
it in
caddy
there, you
thing
pull it
that-
out. I love it.
Take one out,
Yeah.
rolls down for the next
Now
one.
I get
right?
once in a while I'll get a diet ginger ale for people that come over that like that. But somebody told me that that's too old school now.
Ginger ale?
Yeah, like the millennials won't drink ginger ale.
I like ginger ale.
Well, we're old.
And it was always good for your stomach when you were home sick.
Warm ginger ale.
All right, so what caught your eye this week?
So this week for me, I was reading
What
this, and I
caught
guess
your
it's
eye? Here's what Tim and Joel found.
We forget.
I
See,
forgot
they're
the cues. We've been off for a week.
We've been off, yeah, a little while there.
So, so here's what caught my eye. It's somewhat Halloween related, I think. It could be. So there was a family in Berks County in Pennsylvania that purchased a cemetery and a church.
An actual cemetery.
Right.
And
So
actual,
it's called the Rock Cemetery, and I'll probably say it wrong, but I think it's Carnarvon Township. But it's in Berks County, Pennsylvania, right outside of between Lancaster and outside of Philadelphia, probably 40, 50 miles from Philadelphia. So this family at an auction bought the church and a cemetery in an auction in 2010. And there was it's a 18th century stone church which is no longer active, and the cemetery, which is a final resting place for veterans of the War of 1812, the Civil War, and a number of other ancient, I say, or old burial ground. So they bought all the land in the church for $85,000, and they wanted to open up a office building, an office park. So what has happened is there are a number of people that have plots there that either their loved one is buried and they're going to be buried next to them, and or they have plots to be buried there. But this family has put up no trespassing signs and private property signs saying there'll be no more burials here and you're not allowed to visit the cemetery. So I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you could buy a cemetery. I guess you
A,
could.
and B, why? I'm kind of tongue-tied on this one. I mean, like, they're not going to honor the fact that whoever owned the property before
Right.
had sold the plots to families, right?
Right. It says when the family who bought the property, they were unaware that the cemetery was still operational. The auction people didn't tell them. They said they were looking for a place to build an office building and rent it as investment property. Their attorney said it's a tough situation. We've searched for ownership deeds and we didn't find any. But all these people are coming forward saying we have a deeds to be buried here. If you're watching on Facebook, there's a woman there. She's her name's even on the tombstone. Her husband passed away in '95, I think, and she's waiting to get buried there. But they're saying no. They made the offer after they put the no trespassing signs up that if the family wanted to have the bodies exhumed out of the cemetery and moved somewhere else, that they would allow them to come on to do that. But as of August, they permanently banned visitors from entering the cemetery.
I think it's really strange.
And I think so too. What they're upset about, what the people who bought the property are upset about, was they feel the auction company didn't necessarily tell them that it was an active cemetery. They don't want people on the property.
They didn't represent it correctly.
So it's gone to the state legislature, and of course, as anything happens in state government or federal government, they're crafting all sorts of bills. But they're trying to put together something that would guarantee reasonable access by relatives,
By loved ones,
of those buried in privately owned cemeteries. So I thought that one was odd because what are you doing at a cemetery? You go and you visit your loved one. You go and you say a prayer. You might spend some time.
It's a very quiet thing. I mean, usually some people
Leave some
bring like a
flowers.
flag if it's a
Right.
veteran, or flowers on a certain holiday or a birthday. Yeah,
So
that caught your eye.
so that one caught my eye. Yeah, I thought that was a weird one. Like you, I was a little bit tongue-tied by it. I thought,
It's just strange.
First of all, why are you buying a cemetery? It's
Yeah,
not like you can
and
dig
you're
it
buying
up.
a church too. So the church had to be deconsecrated, I'm assuming, at some point.
Yeah, well, that's a big thing in Philadelphia. All the Catholic churches that have closed. I have a friend who
They're just
bought.
empty buildings.
People are buying them, making them into homes or condos.
But you have to
or,
unconsecrate the church.
What does that mean?
I don't know. It's a Catholic thing, and they come and they deconsecrate it, so it's no longer
No longer a church.
no longer filled with the Holy Spirit or something like that. I don't. I was
We've
only
got
an
a
altar
Catholic in
boy.
the audience shaking his head.
I was only an altar boy.
Consecrate.
I'm a lapsed.
Consecrated grounds. Isn't that what little Big Edie said?
Consecrated grounds.
So what caught your
What
eye?
caught my eye is a Kickstarter campaign that was launched by the Smithsonian Institution for none other than the preservation of one of the pairs of ruby slippers worn in the movie The Wizard of Oz. So Judy Garland, during the filming of the movie, wore up to, they claim there are 10 different pairs of ruby slippers commercially bought at a store. You know, they weren't made to last forever. They were just for a film,
So
right?
they have a red heel like those Christian Louboutins. Huh?
I think that was painted on, actually.
Oh, you think so?
So the Smithsonian has one of the pairs in their care, and they've had it for 40 years. It's traveled to the Victoria and Albert Museum, they've loaned it out to a couple other things, but the shoes are in very, very bad repair, and now they need to have them restored.
Don't they look wide, like some guy had them on, ran around the place?
Actually, you're funny you say that because
Did she have big feet?
so here they said that Judy Garland, on
tits.
closer inspection, one shoe was found to have a number 1 Judy Garland written on the sole inside the heel end, and the other shoe said number 6 Judy Garland. Her feet were small. The shoes are size 5, though one is slightly wider than the other. So the one on the left, like her right foot, looks like it was the wider
Judy
one.
had a club foot.
So take a wild guess at how much the Kickstarter wants to raise to restore the shoes.
How much they want to raise?
Yeah.
30,000.
Add a couple zeros after that. In fact, to be precise, add
You're
4
not
or
good at
5.
math.
It's $300,000. They want to
To
raise
restore the shoes?
$300,000.
Just dip them in some glitter. Are you kidding me?
Well,
What do they need to do? Just sew on some more little... They're not real rubies. Is that...
no.
do they wanna
That's
put
like a
real rubies?
sequin fabric
Yeah.
they stitched onto the shoe. But Richard Barden, who is the leading who's leading the conservation effort, said the shoes are complex artifacts that contain at least 12 materials from steel to cotton. So once they get these off display and put them in the lab, they're going to find out how long it's going to actually take. But a comparable Kickstarter campaign that the Smithsonian ran a while ago was to save the American flag that flew over Fort McHenry, which was the inspiration for the Star-Spangled Banner. Now, guess how much that cost to restore?
The flag that flew over?
Yeah,
The star-
10 to 12 people worked on that project for 3 years, and the cost? $21 million.
That's absurd. That's just pissing your money away. It's material. It's flag material, right? Get some new white, some new red, some new blue. Get a seamstress.
No, they had to. They work with what they have, and they patch, and they make sure that's a patch versus the real material. But it's the flag. It's the flag that inspired Francis Scott Key to write the Star-Spangled Banner. Now, I know if you and I owned a museum, you'd be like, Nash, that flag's looking dog-eared. Go out to the Kmart and buy a new one. And then you put the new flag in. Oh, actually, first we'd have to, scrub it up and make it look dirty or something. But
Throw it in the wash.
so that's what caught my eye.
That's a lot of money. Where'd you find that?
The Kickstarter thing was reported in the New York Times, actually.
Oh.
Well, it's Judy Garland slippers, though. I mean, there was, especially in the LGBT community, for some reason,
There's
think
a
it's
timestamp
well. There's
on that,
actually
though, isn't there?
a real reason why, but on what? On Judy Garland,
Wizard of Oz.
in terms of its being
A cultural
icon for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that definitely marks.
Do your nieces watch it? Are they?
They had it on DVD.
Yeah.
See, here's the thing. When we grew up,
Once
we
a
were only
year.
allowed to have a TV dinner twice a year. Once was when The Wizard of Oz was on, and once was when Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer was on. And maybe, if we were lucky, we got Santa Claus is Coming to Town. And that was a Salisbury steak dinner with a little pie. And so there you go.
Okay. So on the
Day in history.
Day in history.
Those who fail to learn from history are forced to repeat it. Enjoy this lesson from Tim, and remember, the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Today, October 29th, John, you will love this. This is National Cat Day.
I love the pictures you found, too.
This is Kitty, and there's a little Hello Kitty on the toilet. I don't know what that was about. I found that when I was looking at images. But so National Cat Day is today. Cats were first domesticated in the Middle East 12,000 years ago.
They were sacred animals. The royalty, the Egyptian royalty, the pharaohs loved cats.
Well, they said when humans relied on hunting for their main source of food, dogs were most useful. But when we became an agricultural society,
Ratters.
the cats became invaluable because the domesticated cats would keep the grain stores free of mice and rodents.
Ratters. Let's get a ratter in here.
Today, I didn't realize this, cats are found in 34% of American households, making them the most popular house pet. I thought dogs were.
I actually did too. I'm surprised at that stat. I thought
Cats are easier, though.
Yeah,
You
well,
can
they
leave a
are.
cat for a weekend. You know that.
Yeah.
It's also National Oatmeal Day.
Oatmeal.
Do you like
Love
oatmeal?
Yes. Particularly
Healthy, versatile, can be eaten any time of day, John.
What a
good in
McCann's
cookies.
steel cut is you put Quaker in there. Did you?
So there's Quaker, and if you look on the right there, that's Barbara Bush. I always thought she looked like the Quaker guy, but so Did you? So the Quaker man.
That took me a second to.
You don't recognize that that's Barbara?
I Wilford, whatever his name is in the Brimley, is the one I remember in the middle, but.
So the Quaker man is the oldest advertising mascot in America.
It's
the guy that's on the Quaker Oats. So he's the oldest advertising mascot in America. The Quaker Oats Company registered him as the first trademark for breakfast cereal in 1877. The character purposely embodies the values of the Quaker faith: honesty, integrity, and purity. And I found the one of Barbara and I put her on there.
I like the Eat Me one too.
The where I live now. 1682, William Penn landed at what is now Chester, Pennsylvania, and was the founder of Pennsylvania. When I first came to Philadelphia, you see that picture on the left, John?
I know the story.
So the very first thing that happened to me when I moved to Philadelphia in the 80s is I was going down the boulevard, which is the Ben Franklin Parkway, and the manager of the office that I worked at LTV Steel stops, and he says, the first thing you do, so nothing is taller than William Penn. And this
Until there was actually like some curse or something.
But he said, if you look at the statue of William Penn, you can see what he thinks of the city. He's peeing on it all the time. So it looks like...
in silhouette,
so
it looks like
from
that.
Almost all angles, when you look up at him, it looks like he's peeing on the city. But what it is he's holding documents in his hand. But if you look at it at a certain angle,
he's
it looks
holding
like
his hand out. Yeah.
It looks like his member's out there and he's peeing on town. So that's William Penn. 1901. We don't know. Do you know who Leon Chugach is?
Leon Chugach. No.
I recognize the name, but you know Paul. You know who Lee Harvey Oswald is, right? So Chugach was the guy who assassinated President Kinley. So in 1901, he was an anarchist, and he lost his job as a steel worker. And he'd gone and bought a gun for $4.50 and decided that he was going to go kill McKinley. So he went to, McKinley was in Buffalo. He was at something called the Temple Music Expo. And Chugach got right up to him to go shake his hand. He smacked McKinley's hand out of the way, shot him. The bullet hit the button on his coat. So ricocheted off the president's coat, McKinley's coat. The other one did lodge in his stomach, but what happened was he didn't die from the bullet wound. He died from the infection he got 8 days later from the wound.
Surprise! Yeah.
So
that could still happen today, by the way.
So as he got shot though, and as the president was falling to the ground, the crowd started to beat up Leon Chugach, and the president said, "Go easy on him, boys," and they chained him to a fence until the police got there. And he ended up being executed only 45 days later. Back then, justice.
45 days. That's not a lot of time,
So his brother asked for the body after he was electrocuted. Now, here's the odd part. So I Googled this. There's the actual video of him being electrocuted on YouTube in black and white. It's in black and white. There's no sound, but they show him being led into the execution chamber. He just sits in the chair. They do 3 jolts of electricity.
And he just limps.
He just limps a little bit. They check his heart, and he's dead. There's nothing gory about it, but it is kind of creepy because it's so old.
The saying "there's nothing gory about it" is no, there's no blood spurting out of his head. But if you know what he's sitting in the chair,
plugged him in. Yeah,
he's getting electrocuted.
His brother asked for the body. They said no, they weren't going to allow him to take the body. They buried his body on the prison grounds, and right before he went in, the warden dumped sulfuric acid on him to disfigure the body, and they said that it would disintegrate within 12 hours. But they let him keep some of the clothes and stuff. 1929, the Great Depression happened on this day. Remember the
October 29th,
October
29th, yeah.
1945, the very first ballpoint pen was commercially made available for sale, on sale at Gimbel's.
1945 for the ballpoint pen, 50 cents for a
pen.
pen. Well, back then, if you go 1945, that's probably the equivalent of spending $60 or $70 on a pen, right? Maybe more.
Yeah, probably
with
more.
Inflation,
because you get a pen now, you pick one up at the bank for free.
Yeah.
And on the one thing, I think they spelled Gimbel's wrong, but $12.50 for a pen at Gimbel's. 1966, the National Organization of Women was founded. Shirley Chisholm, a New York State representative, was one of the co-founders.
Love Shirley Chisholm.
Shirley Chisholm.
Yeah, that's
she was the first person, also the first African-American woman elected to Congress as well as run for national office. She ran as a Democratic
I remember that
nominee to be president. This story here, we're Seinfeld fans.
Yeah.
Remember the dingo ate my baby?
Dingo ate my baby. That was Meryl Streep did that movie.
Right.
Yeah.
So in 1982, it was the Australia dingo baby case on October 29th, 1982. And so Linda Chamberlain was out camping with her husband.
It was based on a real story. You're
Based
right.
on a real story. And the daughter, Azaria, went missing. And she claimed that the dingo came in and stole the baby. And
Did she get off?
so they said, so she ended up going to jail. She was convicted of murder. And they had 3 appeals. In 1986, they found a piece of the daughter's clothing in a dingo lair. A bunch of dingoes, and they found some. So then they decided to test and test and test. And the 3rd appeal happened in 2012. And I'm sorry, it was the 4th appeal. And they said that, in fact, the baby was killed by a dingo. And they had exhumed the remains or whatever, and they said that, or no, there were no remains, but based upon the clothing. And they released her from jail and gave her $1.5 million for false imprisonment.
How long was she in jail for? So you said it was 90...
From 80, so she was in jail from 82 until 2012.
There goes her... I mean, okay, so she gets what? You said 1.5.
But there was an appeal in 86, an
false
appeal in
imprisonment.
88, an appeal in 95, an appeal in 2012, and they finally proved that, in fact, the dingo did kill the baby. And then in 2014, I didn't know that this was even such a thing. The smartwatch by Microsoft was released. Did you know that they had such a thing?
No, I saw that graphic, and I thought you...
No.
I saw it, and I'm like, okay.
Did you know that
Microsoft-
existed?
No, did any...
So that was before the Apple Watch, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, because the Apple Watch came out in 15.
And it
I
looks like
think.
an Apple Watch.
Yeah, it was same profile. I mean, but I'm kind of... Yeah, I looked at this, and I'm like, not
I figured this would have been like, oh, yeah, of course.
No,
I figured you knew this. No?
I thought it was a joke, because I've never heard of it.
Well, I didn't either. Well, my poor Microsoft. So what happened in science?
Science.
Don't be blinded with science. Here's what you need to know from the week in science, according to John. It's poetry in motion.
Okay, we got a couple things going on here. On October 29th in 1998, John Glenn became one of the oldest astronauts to ever fly. He was aboard the Discovery STS-95 mission. When he returned to Earth, he was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. He was 77 at the time, I think I said that. He first flew into orbit in 1962 aboard Friendship 7, and he was the first American to officially orbit the Earth and the 5th person in space after cosmonauts Yuri Gagarin and Gerasimov Titov.
What about Svetlana?
Svetlana?
Did she
She
beat
was
him up
later.
there?
She was later. Yeah, but she went up, but it was later.
Did he go in the shuttle?
Yeah, he went in the shuttle.
So what did he do?
Yeah.
Just take a ride? I mean, he didn't do
Well,
much.
they were doing a bunch of experiments on him to see the effects of microgravity on a 77-year-old body, and apparently they got some very useful data in terms of what happens when you're even weightless for a moment, a
Take
period
off your
of time.
depends and let me check it out.
All right, this next one, I got a couple of pictures to illustrate the scale of this thing, but I'm just going to say 2 words: spruce goose.
Oh,
Okay, so on November 2nd, Howard Hughes took what was actually called the Hughes H-4 Hercules for its first test flight, also known as the Spruce Goose. Why? Because the plane was built entirely of not spruce, but can you guess what wood it was?
ash?
Birch. You're very
Birch.
close. It was birch. It was intended as a transatlantic flight transport for use during World War II. It was not completed in time. It only flew the one time. It was a boat plane, so it took
Right.
off from the water. It now rests at a museum in Oregon called the Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum in McMinnville, Oregon. But look at the
McMinnville,
inside
yeah.
of that thing. That's the inside of the plane.
Wow.
They were going to move tanks with it and jeeps and stuff. And I think the last picture I have is its final.
I'd like to see it.
For a while, it used to be in Los Angeles. Do you remember the Queen Mary?
Right.
They had the Queen Mary Spruce Goose attraction. You could visit the old Queen Mary steamliner, and then they had this enormous building with that plane sitting in the middle. But the
Wow,
thing
it's
is
enormous.
huge. Largest wingspan of any plane ever built, period. 319 feet, 11 inches.
I would think it'd been tough to build out of wood.
Oh my God! Yeah. Well, the reason they did that was because of the lack of metal
Right,
during
'cause of
World
the
War
war,
II. They
right.
had to be careful with that. And this last piece is more of a topical as we move into winter thing. Question: can being cold, as in cold, like I'm cold, really make you sick? The short answer is yes.
Why?
Well, because what they have found.
Did you draw that?
You know, I
Looks
can
like a little
draw
something I would have done.
I could draw better than that, but yeah, I found that online. I'm like, boy, this is, and the poor guy is chilly there. For decades, researchers have known that the rhinovirus, which is the cause of the common cold, replicates more readily in cooler environments, such as the nasal cavity, rather than at the cozier core body temperature. So what they postulate is, they call it the innate. Our immune system functions a certain way, and it functions better when we're warmer. So if the virus is in your nasal cavity, for example, and you're outside and you're very cold, there's a greater chance that it's going to start multiplying and, you know, get into your body and cause the cold. So even if you cover your nose or you wrap yourself up, it doesn't help much. She said, what do you think the best advice for avoiding the common cold is?
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands, yeah. So you can't, as long as that germ doesn't get anywhere near an external body part that could be cold.
How long was that article?
About 250 words, maybe.
Did you read the whole thing?
Yes, I did.
Was that out of the week, or where did you find that?
That was from popsci.com, popularscience.com.
That's one of those that I would have read the headline and kept going. See, I can't believe sometimes you dig into these stories. I just, you know.
You know what I'm doing with my segment? My paltry little segment after Week in History. I'm trying to give you like one or two date things, but then a topical piece.
Oh, I didn't realize. Okay,
a
that's
topical piece of science. Yeah, it's cold season's coming up. Here's how to protect yourself.
Yeah, because I had a couple things that were science related that I thought you'd hit on that I didn't hit on.
What was one of them?
One of them was the invention, the ARPANET.
Oh, ARPANET. That's that was the precursor of the internet. Yeah, that was the Department of Defense did that.
Yeah, 1969. I thought you might do
now,
that.
I looked through those lists,
Boring.
and now I'm getting like, I'm looking for very specific things that intrigue me, and then a science article.
Okay.
All right.
So business birthdays.
Everyone does celebrity birthday greetings, but the Focus Group is the only show in the universe that celebrates business birthdays.
So happy 81st birthday to Charles Cook. You know them from Cook Industries, but how would you say, is that a French
Coke.
in the middle?
Koch.
Koch brothers?
The Koch brothers, yeah.
Charles de
Gaulle Koch.
Yeah, they leave the de Gaulle out when they're...
Sure, it's just the Koch brothers.
Yeah, because you don't want to be too... They're Tea Party.
You don't want to be too foreign when you're
a Tea Party conservative.
Yeah.
So, American businessman, political donor, and philanthropist, co-owner and chairman of the board, and chief executive officer of Cook Industries, along with his brother David. They own 42% of the conglomerate, which they earned the old-fashioned way. They got it inherited from their father. They expanded the business. It was originally just revolved around oil refinery or oil refining, and now includes pollution control equipment and technology, polymers, fibers, minerals, fertilizer, commodity trading and services, forest products, consumer products, etc. They are known for such famous brands as Stainmaster Carpet, Lycra, brand of spandex.
Is that why you threw in the second picture?
Well, there was a picture. I did a picture that was a collage of things
of products. They're known for.
So it was the
See, I thought
Lycra, Dixie cups, and the toilet paper.
That, by the way, that picture of the rowers on the left. If you happen to be watching on YouTube, there's a picture of these. This is famous.
And Lycra.
Is this one of the Olympic?
Yeah, that's the guy when he had a stiffy.
Yeah, and
so that's why I put it on there.
That thing went around the internet like.
He claims no.
Oh, he claims no.
Or he was excited he got a medal. But I don't know. It's anyway, it's Lycra.
I actually thought you were going to tell me that one of those was a Koch relative.
Oh, no.
I thought, why else would you put that in there?
Well, my other option for a choice of Lycra would be some obese person in Walmart with a pair of shorts on.
We've done that before. This is better. We've done that.
Yeah, this is more athletic.
And you know, who says no to eye candy, right?
Exactly. He was the 9th richest person in the world in 2014. They've given $246 million to libertarian causes.
Libertarian
causes, yeah. And they were supporters of Bernie Sanders.
Yes,
which I was surprised about because I thought they were just simply Tea Party and conservative.
No, they kind of tack really conservative fiscally, and they're not bad socially. They're more moderate, but they've got a bad rep.
Worth almost $40 billion.
I'd be happy personally with just $1 million. I don't even...
I buy a Powerball hoping I can get another car. I mean, 38.
All righty. So that was our.
Yep. So hey, it's a focus group with Tim Bennett and John Nash. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we have joining us a friend here of the focus group, Brian Roman from AdMark360, is going to unveil our new socks, and he promises a surprise or two. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Brought to you by the award-winning Volkswagen Golf family. Let's make some money.
He's the business manager, let him manage.
This is the Focus Group.
Champagne! Champagne for everyone!
Welcome back to the Focus Group. John Nash with my good friend and co-host Tim Bennett. Find us on YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and Google Play. FocusGroupRadio.com is actually the best place to go to check out all things Focus Group, and you could sign up there for someday soon the Focus Group Radio Socks. And speaking of that, joining us right now is a good friend of the Focus Group, AdMark360 President Brian Roman. Brian, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Appreciate being here.
All right, so first, let's do a quick thing. AdMark360,
Yes.
what are you doing?
We're a promotional products, printing, and creative services company.
So promotional products are
Swag. I mean,
the
it's
stuff
like a
that
pen.
we love because everybody loves
Pens,
free.
your socks,
Socks, hats,
hats,
t-shirts.
t-shirts. The number one piece in promotional product
What's the
is,
number
is a
one?
t-shirt.
A t-shirt?
T-shirt in the United
t-shirt.
States is a t-shirt.
I don't like t-shirts. You got to guess the size.
Yeah.
You got to figure out size.
Right. That's one of the biggest issues is trying to figure out what the
How many
So you
need-
like it because you say you need to
What the
get small,
percentage is.
medium, large, extra large, double extra large.
Right.
Whereas
But-
us with socks, one size fits
one
all.
size fits all, right? And that's a lot of the client issues. And there's a formula where you can put together for T-shirts. How many small, medium, large, depending on the event. So it's kind of a guessing game, but it works most of the time.
Now, how long have you been? How long has AdMark been up and running?
Next year will be my 20th year.
20 years.
Yeah,
Wow.
we started in '97, so
Congratulations.
going to 20 years, and yeah, it's going to be a
What is that?
banner
What does
year.
360 mean?
Just the 360
The full Monty.
circle. I mean,
full Monty.
We do everything. We can bring things in from overseas. We can,
So if you were just US, it'd be
Design
AdMark 180
180 exactly, or 90,
or 90.
45 degree.
So so John had mentioned our famous focus group socks.
Yes,
so
and I wanna-
do you want to show? Do you want to unveil the new
I'd
socks
like
for
to
us?
unveil the new socks.
So if you're listening or
Sorry,
watching, for many years when we were on our last platform,
Mm-hmm.
our listeners used to be able to sign up to get a pair of Focus Group socks. And we're going to start that again over at focusgroupradio.com. And I think the idea would be you can sign up and maybe get a newsletter of ours or something. We're still
Right.
tweaking
figure
that.
it
We're
out.
trying to figure that out. Because, you can't say the word free on the internet.
No,
On now, well, potential reach now is in the billions, right? And we're not sending these to East Jabip.
No.
So, and you've got to do something to earn the sock.
And that's the part we're focusing on, is the
Right.
do something part.
Now, I said initially, so we've had blue socks, black socks, yellow socks,
Red and
red
green.
socks, green socks, and our listeners overwhelmingly, when we
Yellow.
asked, we had yellow.
We had yellow,
Oh, yeah,
too,
yellow,
yeah.
yeah.
Said they wanted what color?
purple.
So they're purple and gray. You want to open those
Purple
up?
and gray. Yes. Let's see here.
I don't. I would have gone with a different color myself.
What color?
like the
What
purple.
color did you
I
want?
think purple's tough to wear. Don't you or no?
Well, Donny
This
Osmond
is
didn't have
a
a
great
problem.
color, though.
Oh, it's a beautiful color. and
Donnie
they've-
didn't have
they've
a
done
problem.
well.
Yeah.
I would have. Donnie wear purple.
have a
Donny Osmond.
Does he wear purple socks?
That's his trademark. One of
See,
his,
I've
one
worn
of his
red. I got
things.
my red socks on today.
Yeah.
That's your trademark.
Yeah.
I would have had a different color on.
So that's the new
I like 'em.
unveiling. Yeah.
I like them.
And there's comfortable.
Toe in the heel.
Yeah, and they're just nice to.
I got a,
walk around
and you
in,
did. I like
they
the
last
big
forever.
focusgroupradio.com on the bottom. Very nice. And I've got friends who are like, the minute the new ones come out, Madeline,
Yep.
Christine and Trace's daughter, every time I see her, she makes a
Well, you know
line.
why? She was going to want these because Northwestern, that's their colors, purple. Northwestern, purple and white.
Really?
Also, Williams,
Williams
Kenyon College, Capital College in Ohio.
Maybe we could make a play for the millennial youth vote on the college campus. We should start doing campuses, right?
If you do a
campus
vote, you get a
colors.
pair of
Do colors.
socks.
Thank you. Yeah,
Great.
I
Those
really
are
like
those
them.
are perfect.
They're padded. They're like
Oh
very
yeah, these
comfy.
and they last forever.
Where are those made?
These are made in California, U.S.,
Seriously?
USA. Yes.
Yeah, so that's the one good
Yes.
thing. Remember, we insisted we would source in the United States.
Yep.
There you go. Made in America.
Made in America. And then I have one other thing to unveil for you.
Oh,
guys.
you do?
Also made in America. These chairs are very.
Yeah, they spin.
Oh, socks again? Is this me?
Yeah, this. Well, I don't know actually. Let me just.
I
check
guess I'll
real
let
quick.
you
Let
on.
me
I
just
guess I'll
check
let you
real-
undo it.
This is.
Can you even see?
Yeah, I can. Without my glasses. Yeah, this is you, and this is Mr. Nash, I believe. Yes, it has to be Mr. Nash.
So what are we getting?
So
this
is
Johnny
your
Carson
new.
treatment?
Yes. Finally, I've been watching the show, and you have these horrible cups on there, and there's
Oh, wow.
no real.
Oh, and I've got my own
branding.
name on it.
Yeah, it's the you got
My own
the
little caricature plus.
Yes.
Oh, so I can put my water right in it.
Yeah, there you go. Well,
That's perfect. Was it
Did you
clean?
see what I just did? I like yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Was it clean? Brian?
Yeah, it was clean.
So I like this. I'm looking at myself while I'm drinking.
Yes.
I love this. Thank you.
You're
So
welcome.
now we could officially be more like Carson or the night.
Exactly.
We'll have to ask if we could leave the mugs here. You know, we
Yeah,
got
they're
Anthony and everyone
John
else
and
is
Garrett are saying yeah, you
yes.
can leave the
Perfect.
mugs here.
Yes.
So this is the world of premiums,
Yes, this is the world premiums.
and
It's a big world.
well, it's a huge world, yeah. And I
Yes.
mean, we were recently on a Volkswagen press event in Seattle. They were unveiling the new all-track wagon, and we marveled top down how much branding went into everything. So in that case, the hotel, all the room keys were VW. They had logos on the windows. So a company like that could have come to you and said, we're doing an event, and here's what we think. And then you actually would add value, though, by saying, have you thought of this?
Right.
And that's basically one of the things you do in your business.
Exactly, right. And, a client will come to me and they'll say, hey, we're going to this event in wherever, Seattle, wherever, and we're going after this market. And either they have an idea already what they want, like they want socks or they want a pen, and they're really set on it, or they'll say, hey, Brian, can you give us some ideas for
Is that more
this age
challenging?
group? No, I actually enjoy that more.
Is the outcome better when someone comes to you and says, I know we want to give our attendees something cool.
Yeah.
We're not really sure what that is. We have a vague idea, but
Well, they'll browse the website, but the website has a million products.
I was going to
It's
say,
like
isn't the
hundreds
website
of
like a
thousands.
Jersey diner menu?
Exactly,
I mean, there's a
yeah.
million things on there to pick.
Even in my website, I've even pared it down to like maybe 200,000 items, but still that's a lot of items in order for somebody to go through and just pick something out. So I kind of have the highlights of all the different areas, housewares, writing utensils, writing things,
Right.
deskwear, that kind of thing.
So someone gives a T-shirt away. What's it cost? Not your cost, but what's it cost?
It depends. Then that's the other thing.
Item.
It's all depends on quantity.
and quality.
And quality and also color. So a lot of times screen printing, you do up to like 3 colors on the shirt. A lot of the things that we're doing now, it's multi-colors, hundreds of colors, all the gradations of color. So you need to do
That's
that.
labor.
You need to do that in
that's
digital,
labor.
and then it's going to be you can't screen print that anymore. You got to do digitally, and direct to garment is not new, but it's starting to be a little bit cheaper now. But you're looking at like $10-12 a shirt for a small quantity in direct to garment. But if you're doing a 3-color or 1-color T-shirt, not 200 or 300 shirts, you're looking at like $3-4 a
That's
piece.
not so bad. That's
No,
not so
it
bad.
depends. It really depends on what.
Do a lot of
quantity.
people ask for lately? Do a lot of customers or brands when they're working with AdMark360? Do they? Does someone say, "Hey, we want to give something technological away"?
Sure.
And what's the most popular? I mean, you created for us when we were over on our last platform. We had branded
USB
laser
drives.
etched USB sticks that were really cool.
Yep. Well, that's extremely popular. I mean, that's the most popular technological piece.
Yeah, it's
now.
probably also the most easy to use for any platform too.
Do they want them loaded up, or do they?
Some want it loaded up, and you can preload them with any kind of information. And now there's even software you stick it into your computer, and all of a sudden, it flashes up your logo and whatever other information you want them to see, and then you pull
So it
pull
like
out.
does an autoplay or something,
Exactly
yeah.
right. But the other things there's new lights for your laptop. So you're working on the plane or something, a little light on your laptop, and
I
there's
like that. I like
all
that.
kinds
That works
of-
for me.
Yeah, there's a lot of techie things, fans for your laptops, that type of thing. There's computer screen covers, protectors like your computer. I saw you have a little dent in it now, so maybe you need a cover for it.
I'm gonna, yeah. You just brought me back to like a moment, yeah.
Yeah, no, I know what's coming with that.
Yeah. Yeah. It has a dent.
I'll be getting the dented one. There'll be a new one soon. Are there items that, so we're talking to Brian Roman from AdMark360, who does a lot of our promotional items here, particularly our socks from the focus group. Are there items that just used to be popular that just aren't anymore?
Yeah, I mean, there's things that have just by sheer, just because you have your phones anymore, your tablets, and there's no more writing notes any longer. There's a lot of texting.
The notepads,
notepads,
what
all
about
that's
keychains?
Keychains are still pretty popular depending on the market. I mean, millennials kind of like keychains, unbelievably, because they like nice things though. But there's a lot of like old style cups, and things like that. They don't really do those. It's all the newfangled waters, and the straws. Yeah, exactly. So those types of things. But it's more of the things that have gone away because of technology and just us going away from them. Pizza cutters,
Pizza cutter.
Yeah, remember
Pizza's
pizza cutters were a big
big
thing from the banking industries.
So you were a member of, and John and I have had people on over the years from the NGLCC, which is the National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce, and you were involved in Philadelphia with the Independence Business Alliance, which is affiliated with the NGLCC, but also other chambers, the Philadelphia Chamber of Commerce. You do things with the athletics,
SBA,
and the athletics groups in Philly. John and I have struggled ourselves with deciding whether we should be certified or whatever. Was the process as arduous as sometimes it looks, or
no?
For
it was
small business.
It really wasn't that hard, and it really depends on what your goal is. I thought it would be good in order to get into some of these companies that are doing these promotional products and printing and the things that I do really well, to get into them and possibly get some business. But I'm finding that just the entry workload, the paperwork, and the information you have to put on their website in order to sign up, in order just to get onto the bid list, is an hour process for each company just to fill out the paperwork and send them everything and all the certifications and things like that, and then to get on their vendor list is just a whole nother process. So it's. But in the long run, I think it will pay off.
Because ideally, a chamber of commerce, you're able to leverage the membership to kind of cross-pollinate. I do this, you do that. Hey, I can bring you in here to help here.
Right.
Our puzzle with the NGLCC has always been, does it foster small gay and lesbian business owners, LGBT owners, to work amongst themselves? Or, as you were telling us earlier, before we started the show today, that maybe it's simply dealing with these small companies with major corporations as approved vendors. Is that more the side of it?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of that. But for my company, a lot of my clients have come from older clients, just my network, but also with the IBA, they're coming through that, and some part the NGLCC, because I am certified. There is one client that I work with that is highlights that in integrity staffing. So they have me on their website as one of their certified
vendors.
So that's actually works out pretty well, and they're a large client. They're a great client. So. But
it speaks to this whole notion, though, that when you own a business, when you own a small business like yours, that it's not just opening the door, getting the orders out, interfacing with clients. When you are looking at growing your business, you make strategic decisions about organizations to join and where you're going to put your time.
Yep.
And that's a tricky one, I think.
Well, it does take a lot of time to put everything together, as I said, but I think in the long run, once I get all that groundwork done, it will pay off. And you have to actually go to the meetings, you have to go to the networking events, you have to do those things. And with the way business is right now, everybody's so busy because everybody's doing so many different things for their businesses, especially in our industry. It's a 2, maybe 3-person shop, and everybody's busy. So it's
Wearing
hard
a
to
lot of
get
hats.
to, yeah, exactly. So you get to the networking event maybe once or twice a month, maybe. And then after that, you have follow-up and all that for each person that you meet. So it's the old-fashioned networking that really builds relationships with your clients, and then great, support and, service.
All comes down to networking, John. We hear
Yes,
that
it
all the
does.
time.
It does.
So if somebody's listening that might want to do something for their company, either a holiday party or
they have
something
the
that they
time?
do,
Yeah.
right? Is there time if they contacted you?
Yeah, right now for Christmas
So right
holidays
now?
and New Year's, yes. Now would be about right because I mean,
Now
I
it's-
have clients that are asking me for things for, in early November, and we're
see.
pushing the.
So how would somebody contact you?
Either right through my website, admark360.com, or info at admark360.
ADMARK360.com. You got to talk slower here, see?
ADMARK360.com.
We're not on the clock like we were at Sirius.
Yeah.
So admark360.com.
Right.
And ask for Brian.
Ask for Brian. Pretty much only guy going to answer the phone. So, or Rich, or Emily.
No,
Hey,
make sure you ask for Brian.
Yeah, well, definitely.
Because
ask
you
for
never
me.
know.
Yeah,
Or send an email.
absolutely. Or send an email to Roman at admark360.com.
Roman at
Roman, yeah.
admark360.com.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for bringing us our new socks. And as
I love
as
the
we
socks,
mentioned,
and
we'll
I love our mugs. Thank
make sure
you.
to get them out. And our mugs, I'm delighted.
I will forever be.
I wonder if people wanted to buy, now nobody wants to buy the Tim mug.
By the way, I joke
No, but
about this.
We have
regular mugs?
Yes.
So I joke about this because
Untimothy'd.
some guy once posted on Facebook that if they
what?
ever rebooted,
Yeah.
remember when remember the actor Dean Cain portrayed Superman? It was called The Young Superman or something. It was like a 1 or 2 year series on the WB. So some guy says if they ever reboot that show, Superman,
Yeah.
Tim will be cast as Superman, especially the way he's depicted there.
I feel like I look like the brownie paper towel guy.
Yeah. I think
and I'll be the
Ronnie.
young Lex
Ronnie.
Luthor.
Yeah, you'll be
Because
Lex.
Lex Luthor's always bald or kind of bald or, yeah.
Yeah. Techie.
I'll be the
Geeky.
young, yeah.
We've
but I'll
got
be the young
T-shirts
geek.
on, don't we? Do you have a T-shirt on yours too? Your sister told us, and your brother-in-law told us no T-shirts.
T-shirt.
But nobody on
You
here.
don't have a T-shirt, no? Is it? No, you don't have a T-shirt on.
So I
You
do.
do, Tim.
I do.
Isn't that
Yeah.
funny?
It's
Yeah.
funny. Well, I'll be in trouble. So hey, it's the focus group with Tim Bennett and John Nash. We want to thank Brian Roman for
Thank you.
joining us. Be sure to contact him at admark360.com for his website. You'll be able to contact him there if you want to get any goods for the holidays or beyond. And he can do no job too small. Is that no job too big, no job too small? Anyway, he's done great work for us over the years, and we really recommend him. And you've worked with some big brands too. You're being humble, but you work for some major brands.
Very big brands.
And blue chip companies. So your work is much appreciated by us and others.
Thank you.
Stay with us. We'll be right back with the Shop Talk.
Brought to you by the redesigned Volkswagen Passat, where family happens. Visit VW.com to learn more. You're listening to the Focus Group
I said to my girlfriend just the other day, monsters are interesting, I said.
with Tim Bennett and John Nash.
And I'll bet you meet a lot of interesting people, too.
Hey, welcome back to the Focus Group. John Nash with my good friend and co-host, Tim Bennett. Subscribe, like, and rate us on your platform of choice. That could be YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, or Google Play. Focus Group Radio is our handle on social media. That would be for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And 914-362-8747 or 914-FOCUS-GR is the number you could reach us at. It's a voicemail. If we use your comment or question on air, you'll receive a pair of these.
Those purple socks
the
make
new
you look
Focus
gay.
Group Radio socks.
You look gay in those?
That's a perfect kickoff for our little shop talk, isn't it? I don't think so.
No, purple. Very royal.
It's a good purple.
Yeah.
All right, shop talk. Oh, by the way, Brian left us other goodies from his visit. We got beautiful, like a nice pen. By
Nice
the way.
pen.
It has a good weight to it, and a phone charger. These are cool. Brian gives good things.
You like a phone charger.
Well, it's good to have a little battery floating around, right?
Yeah.
You know, you need little things like that when you
That'd
travel.
be a good giveaway.
Okay, Shop Talk, Tim. This one surprised me.
Why?
Well, it surprised me because so much is made of how inclusive organizations are, how open people are. This was from the Vice.com's Broadly section. It's an online news service, and the headline is "Gay Men Are Still Hiding Their Sexuality at Work," a recent study says. And the study was conducted out in, well, the University of Cincinnati was the one that did the study, but the findings were kind of interesting to me. Before I go further, what was your take?
I was surprised by it because a lot of people, you and I had just done an event with our partner Volkswagen with their employee resource group.
Yeah.
And we talked about the importance of being out at work and how it's important for everybody to bring their full self to work. And a number of people, me included, who might not have been comfortable being exactly 100% who you are in a corporate environment. Everyone says once you do bring all that forward, it makes everything better for you, for your work environment, for your happiness, work-life balance, all that stuff. So I was surprised when I read this because they said there was still a fear that people felt they could either get fired or that they would be perceived. I think one guy makes a whole comment that he told a coworker he was gay, and she said, "But you're not gay."
In fact, it says here, a 41-year-old gentleman named Rodney. I don't think that's probably his real name, but he came out to a female coworker, and she said something like, "Yeah, you're gay, but you're not gay." And he said that was a really weird. He said it was sort of hurtful because, man, what's the difference? Right?
Well, he said people used to think of that as a compliment. In other words, you're very masculine for a gay guy. And he said to tell somebody that now you would never. Now he finds something like that offensive. He said because why would I want somebody to tell me I'm not something that I'm not? Or I'm.
Hey, Tim and
not something that I am.
Like, here's a paragraph that I thought was it pretty much set up this entire article. There are lots of anxieties related to identity management and self-presentation for gay men in many professional settings. Now, when we pitched our show originally 8 years ago now, one of the things that I looked back at one of our pitch decks, and one of the things you and I talked about to programming directors was how many individuals, many LGBT individuals, probably never realized it, but their very first job they ever had was managing their identity.
Right.
Which I don't think if you're not gay, I don't think you have to necessarily worry about managing your identity. But that was one of our first jobs before your first job. And we would talk about this when we were pitching the show as one of the things we would like to address or that we would have touch points on, because it's a very big thing about how you maneuver through the corporate world, how you're perceived, how you want to be perceived, how it may affect your chances for advancement. And they talk about that in the article. But basically, the takeaway was it still exists. And that's the part that was surprising to me.
Right. They talk also about how it reminds me of when people get insulted of straight acting when they do in a profile, if you did a personal's profile. But on the other hand, there was also the issue, I think, where people feel that whenever there's a gay pride parade or a gay pride event, or it's the gay guy, the clown at work, the Will and Grace, the Jack on Will and Grace, it's always, as long as he's stereotypical and flouncy, that it's okay. But to say that you are more masculine or you're more straight acting, it's offensive. And so I could see where the balance is on this, that there's certainly all flavors and all types of men, gay and straight, and whether you make the decision to hide totally who you are or not, I guess is up to you. I wondered about this, if you would say, if you were a straight person that was into an S&M lifestyle, would you tell somebody that? And again, that's not,
No, that's a hypothetical.
Because that's a choice of something versus something you are. But I thought about about how open you are.
Another analogy might be people who I think that tattoos also offer that opportunity to either I know I have friends who have like a full sleeve,
Right.
and they're often very cautious about, depending on who they're meeting with in the beginning, revealing that part of themselves, because those are highly personal things. Like why
And
you
people
choose to get
immediately
one.
make
and
make
they
a
will
judgment
make an
on you.
opinion about
Right.
it, or a judgment, exactly. And that goes to this one thing here, where this when the gentleman who authored the study, a man named Speece, he talked to one guy who said he avoids wearing brightly colored shirts to the office. Instead, he wore as much black to his job as possible as to not stand out. Another, Dylan, who is a waiter, told me he would change his speech pattern at the restaurant he works at. At tables with male diners, he said he spoke more formally, slower, and with a deeper voice. At female tables, he said he felt much more relaxed and would joke with the women.
So people still fall into gender
I
roles.
recommend the Bloomin' Onion.
Hey guys, how are you doing?
That Bloomin' Onion's really great.
Eagles are playing tonight. Well,
I know. I don't mean to laugh and make light of it.
No, I think what happens is people fall into gender roles again.
Yeah, completely.
And it was. I think the important part or the interesting part about this study is, I think there's a perception that doesn't go on anymore. Maybe we're post that, but this actually shows that we are not.
And that's our for the ending up with October and ending October, which I do believe October 5th, or I'm probably going to get lambasted for this, but it was National Coming Out Month.
National Coming Out Month.
And so one of the reasons we were down at VW recently was to speak to their employee resource group, which was a really great afternoon. Lots of cool people. We thought this was a nice way to cap off October.
Right.
To say lots of advancement, but still individually people make these decisions on a daily basis, and I think it's an interesting one to look at.
It's might be too academic for us.
What, this study, or?
Yeah, you think?
No, I don't, because we many how many shows have we done now where we have people who are talking about bring your whole self to
Right.
work and everything's changed, and yet you see a study pop out that says no,
really
people
hasn't.
are really being they're still being careful about how they present themselves and how they act, and that's just, I think, I think that's more common than we'd like to think.
Well, it was a perfect synopsis of the article, Jim. Hey, thanks for joining us. Hope everyone has a happy Halloween. Boo.
That's the line you gave Lance Armstrong.
Boo.
To say
Yeah, well, he couldn't do anything else.
because he
Boo.
couldn't act.
Couldn't
Boo.
act. He got the line boo. That's we are the Focus Group. Be sure to join us here every Saturday. Be sure to follow along with us at focusgroupradio.com. Also go there to choose your platform of choice and subscribe, like, and rate us. Look at getting a pair of our purple socks soon from AdMark360. A bunch of other stuff. Aren't they cool?
I love them, and I love our mugs too.
Hey, have a great week. Take care.
It's the Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash. Formerly on SiriusXM Satellite Radio and now accessible on all platforms. Subscribe, like, and rate us on your platform of choice. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com.